Hello, and welcome to the Get Lean and Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin. I'm a certified health coach, trainer, and author. And this podcast is for middle-aged men and women looking to optimize their health and get their bodies back to what it once was 10 to 15 years ago. I will give you simple, actionable items to get long-term sustainable results. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. All right. Welcome to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin. I hope you had a great weekend. Father's Day weekend, end of the US Open. What a finish it was. So I'm excited to talk to you about this next topic. This is a question that comes up quite a bit with a lot of clients is they want to know, well, what are the best times to fast and what are the best times to eat? And I will say there's really not a right or wrong. I think there's all these fasting variations that are out there. Part of it's just a marketing thing. And whether it's right or wrong, I think it depends on the individual and their goals and what they're looking to do. And as I share with you some different fasting variations, I'll also share with you what I do and how my fasting times has sort of evolved over the years, because I've been doing it for a while now. And hopefully that'll help get you started if you haven't gotten started, or maybe if you've been doing it for a while, you'll come up with a few more ideas, few more fasting and feasting times. But I will say there's really no right or wrong. The only rule I'd abide by is you don't want to eat right when you get up, and you really don't want to eat right before bed. Right before bed, your body's getting ready to go to sleep. You don't need to deal with digestion, and you could get indigestion if you eat too close to bedtime. And then when you get up, this is your cortisol levels will rise, and I think it's best to get up and even go for a walk and give yourself some time to get into the day before you eat. So those would be, I say, the two main rules. Other than that, the main thing is you're just trying to restrict your feasting times and not eat all day and snack 5-6 times a day. Because as we know, and if you listen to any of my podcasts, the last one was regarding snacking. The last one, or was it 2 times ago? I don't know. They tend to blend together after a while, but I did talk about how we want to avoid snacking. So either way, let me give you a few tips before moving forward on the variations of fasting. Hunger waves will come and go. And I always tell people this: you got to be patient. You want to sort of take your mind off fasting and staying busy. I think staying busy is probably the number one tip if you're just getting into fasting. And if you're doing a longer fast, maybe it could be a day when you're out of the house. I think that would help. I think a lot of us are working at home now. It makes it a little more difficult because you're around the kitchen. But if you can just stay in your office and not go by the kitchen, that would probably be easiest. But you sort of want to trick the mind. And one thing too is when you're normally used to eating, let's say you're used to eating at noon, I would have an activity at that time. Maybe book a conference call, or do a yoga class, because what you'll find is you'll do that hour yoga class. You might have some hunger waves during that yoga class, but when you get out, you'll be like, whoa, they should go. Right. And this might take a little bit of time to get used to, but I used to do this sometimes when I just, when you were used to eating at a certain time and you wanted to sort of trick the mind and body and stay busy, do some type of class or maybe have a call for business, but that can really help. Also, regarding fasting, only tell supportive people. There's people who hear about fasting, they think it's like this sort of crazy thing, and it's really not. It's actually pretty normal. It's evolutionary, and it's been going on for a while, and tons of religions as well. So, I would only tell people who are supportive, and if they're not supportive, then that's their problem. So let me go through some popular variations that we've heard out in the media and out and about. 16-8 is probably the most popular one. This is something that I ease people into when they do either the 21-day fasting challenge, or even as a client, sometimes we'll work our way into a 16-8. And what that means is that your daily eating period is 8 hours. This could be like typically between noon and 8. To close out your eating window at 8 is maybe a slightly late. I go to bed at 10. So I try to get done my eating window done by 7, I'd say at the latest. But starting out, if you want to do 12 and 8, maybe you can have 3 meals within that 8-hour window. You could have 2 meals. I just interviewed Brad Kearns. I highly recommend you listening to the last podcast if you haven't. Tons of great tips, especially for anybody, but for a 50+ athlete. He's like one of the top track and field 50 senior athletes out in the States and even in the world. So highly recommend Brad Kearns' interview. But he just came out with a book with Mark Sisson regarding 2 meals a day. Well, within this 8-hour window of eating, you could 2 hours, 2 meals a day would be a perfect fit. So that's a great place to start. Definitely. The next variation you hear sometimes is 24. And I know it's a very creative name. Instead of 16/8, it's 24. Well, 20 hours of fasting, which might seem intimidating when you just say it out loud, but you're going to take advantage of your overnight fast, of your overnight sleeping time, because we all fast to some degree, right, when we're sleeping. And then you're going to have a 4-hour eating window. Now, the 4-hour eating window, I wouldn't recommend eating 3 meals within that 4-hour eating window. I would recommend 2 meals and just space them out. And, you could do 1 big meal, but I think it's good to sort of break it up a little bit, especially if you're going to consume a decent amount of protein, which I highly recommend, especially if you're really active and, aging as we all are. I think 2 meals will be easier to digest. And I just think it's probably the best way to go about doing a 20/4 window. Now, the next one I'm going to tell you about is OMAD. And there's a whole community out there regarding 1 meal a day. And some of you are thinking, why would someone just have 1 meal a day? Well, I do this sometimes. I've actually been leaning more towards this a little bit more. I feel like in the summer when it's just 90 degrees and humid, and I got a bunch to do during the day, I don't want I don't know, eating sometimes can weigh me down. Even if I eat something healthy, you can just feel it. I think you really become in tune with your hunger hormones and just how your body reacts to certain foods once you get into fasting. But I'll have a light lunch or light mid-time meal. That could be 2-3 o'clock. But sometimes if I'm busy, I'll just have 1 meal at the end of the day and it's perfectly fine. I'll try to pack in a decent amount of protein, like I mentioned. I would say that this is not something you want to jump to. This is something you want to work towards. I mean, I've been fasting for, over, 6 years now. And yeah, I've worked my way into this. This is normal for me. But if you're, maybe 50+-year-old and, trying to build muscle or even put on some mass, 1 meal a day might not be the best way to go. I would just start with 16/8 and see how it fits into your schedule. But if you've been doing it for a while and you need sort of a change of pace, yeah, I like it a lot of times. I've been enjoying doing this and having just 1 really solid meal. Another variation is alternate day fasting. So this involves just fasting for approximately about 36 hours, because what you're going to do is you eat dinner one day, then you'd fast until the all day 2, and then you're not going to eat until breakfast on day 3. So, for some people, this might seem a bit extreme. I would recommend this for people who, maybe they've hit a plateau and they need to just mix it up every once in a while. I like to do a longer fast every so often, a day or 2 or 3. I've done 3 before, but, I don't recommend doing this all the time. I don't recommend a 3-day fast all the time. But if you want to do alternate day fasting, yeah, give it a go. I mean, the day that you're fasting, I would just recommend having a busy day, keeping yourself out and about, and then drinking obviously plenty of water with minerals. Maybe put some sea salt in there, some quality Redmond sea salt. I recommend as well. Want to keep the minerals on the higher side, as opposed to just having water in itself. So nothing wrong with drinking water, but if you could have some type of mineral water or sparkling water, helps as well. So those are the variations. If you have questions about it, feel free to comment. Let me know what variation you do. I'd love to know. You can comment on YouTube or when I post this to social media. But either way, you got 16/8, you got 24, you got 1 meal a day, You got alternate day fasting. I'd say it would depend on your goals, and it would depend on where you're at in the fasting process. Start slow. Like I talk about actually in the 21-day fasting challenge and in my journal is, start just by pushing back breakfast 1 hour, and then do that for, maybe 3-4 days until you get used to that, and then push it a little bit more. So these are all ways to just sort of trick yourself and your body. We've all been told by marketing and by food companies that we need to eat all the time, and you really don't. And once you get into this, you're going to just find this new freedom that you have more flexibility and you can get a lot more done during the day. So let me know if you have any questions. I hope you enjoy my micro podcasts. I have some great interviews coming up on Friday. And yeah, thanks so much for listening, and talk to you next time. Hey, Get Lean, Eat Clean Nation. Are you a man between the ages of 40 and 60 years old, looking to lose inches around your waist, have significantly more energy throughout the day, and gain muscle, all while minimizing the risk of injuries? Well, I'm looking for 3 to 5 people to work one-on-one with in my Fat Burner Blueprint Signature program, which I've developed by utilizing my 15 years experience in the health and fitness space. This program is designed specifically for those committed to making serious progress towards their health goals over the next 6 months. We will focus on sleep, stress, nutrition, meal timing, and building lean muscle. If this sounds like a fit for you, email me at brian@briangrin.com with the subject line Blueprint. That's brian@briangrin.com with the subject line Blueprint. Thanks for listening to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. I understand there are millions of other podcasts out there, and you've chosen to listen to mine, and I appreciate that. Check out the show notes at briangrin.com for everything that was mentioned in this episode. Feel free to subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend or family member that's looking to get their body back to what it once was. Thanks again, and have a great day.